everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Love Mode, and today on Hot Love Mode we are coming to you with a iHeartRadio Music Awards 2021 red carpet review. I didn't even know this was happening. I don't really care that much that it's happening, but like still, we have to do a video. There were some, well, people were there. I wouldn't say there was much fashion. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Let's make it short and sweet and simple. First up, Ariana Grande wore Rat and Boa, which is a brand I know nothing about. It was for her performance for the awards. She wore a sort of purple halter style top in a silky purple ring bra tied in there. It was like looped around the ring, and then it just sort of like tied in the back. There was a high-waisted skirt in purple in a sort of like sheathy Homme cut. It wasn't revolutionary, but like I don't expect revolutionary now from Ariana Grande. In the most polite way possible, she is not a fashion girl, and I'm just at that point with her. But I don't hate it. Like, I'm not obsessed with the ring in the center, but I do think the color looks really, really nice on her. I think that the halter style is cute. If this is what I'm gonna get from Ariana Grande, and I don't go into it with any high expectations, I'm not necessarily disappointed. But I think that the purple looks really, really lovely on her. I think the halter style is fun. I like that we have a bit of a high-waisted skirt. It's lippy and sheery, and I do wish that she would go for maybe more iconic sort of like slip dresses and sort of like sheer style, Kate Moss. That would be really, really fun. I'm not saying that she has to turn out the craziest look in the entire world, but I would love if she turned into some sort of like cool vintage person. Somebody that like saw things that she actually genuinely liked from, I don't know, legendary designers like Madame Grey, Vianney, and sort of adapted them to herself. They were simple, they were wearable. I would like for that moment to occur, and until we get that, low expectations is what I have for Ariana Grande, and like this did not disappoint me because again, expectations low. Next up is Ava Max, and she is wearing Dilara Findikoglu. This is a look that honestly, like I don't completely hate. Starts off with a Ross applique silver bra top. It just has little crosses dangling from each cup. There are little gauntlets with crosses on there as well. I do actually find some sort of interest in this high-waisted pant style that has adapted a sort of corset moment in the front as that like high-waisted waist. In reality, I'm not saying I'm obsessed with the actual fabrication of it. I think that it's definitely an idea that I haven't really seen before, and so in that regard, I'm kind of drawn to it. I like the fact that it's a sort of oversized pant that comes up to around the top of the pelvis and then turns into like a full sort of corset and ends right below the bust. I do think that's cool. I do think that's interesting. I like that they're attached. I do think the pants are a little bit baggy. I understand sort of matching the silks together works here, and I'm really happy about that. But I think that we need to work on the pant aspect of it. Like, I'm not saying they have to be as tight as a corset sometimes could be, but I do think that we need to figure out a way to sort of make those pants work just a little bit better. The way that they're ruched right at the ankle is sort of strange and weird. I do like the fact that we have a matching shoe. Now, this is a Marc Jacobs boot. It's the Kiki platform, and it's from Lido Archive, which like we stan. And I like the fact that it sort of plays into the silver up top. Again, not really revolutionary. It has definitely piqued my interest, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what's next now. Next up is Charli D'Amelio, and she's wearing Carolina Herrera, and like this look makes me so angry. I don't understand why Charli D'Amelio is wearing Carolina Herrera. I'm not saying that people can't wear whatever brand they want, do whatever. Evidently, we're gonna do that anyway. But I do find it strange that Charli D'Amelio, who is 17, is working with this like age-old brand. I do think that if Charli was working with like cool, young, up-and-coming designers, we'd be having a moment. We'd be actually like developing some sort of interesting relationship that could put Charli higher up in the future. I feel like she's a dancer. Put her in Mugler. Mugler is all about, oh, I don't know, performance wear. That makes sense to me. Something that's a little bit more exciting. Something that's a little bit more not a black slip dress with a slit and shitty heart appliques. I just don't think it's really interesting. I don't think it really makes her look worthwhile or noteworthy. This isn't like an attack on her. It's just an attack on like her stylist choice of dress for her. It's just not anything to look at. And no offense, Charli D'Amelio is probably one of the most looked at human beings on the face of the earth currently. And so that to me is a problem. There are so many cool designers. I mean, like the LVMH prize has like 9 different designers. Christopher John Rogers, Charles de Vilmorin, Connor Ives. Like there are so many different designers to choose from, and we are choosing this. Carolina Herrera is great if you are a 40-plus-year-old person living on the Upper East Side of New York. Charli D'Amelio renegading isn't really the brand to me, and so I'm just not understanding this at all. There are much more interesting like young American brands that she could be working with, and this is what we're choosing. Concerning. Next up is Debbie Ryan. I don't know why I kind of like this. It's just like a cocktail dress with these like Joan Crawford 1940s like shoulders and sleeves. I think it's really, really funny. I like the collar on it. It's big, it's sort of bold. Collars are sort of being big and bold recently. I like the sleeves. I like the way that they sort of slouch down over this like silky cuff. It's not really anything to like write home about whatsoever, but I do think the dress is like funny. I think it's interesting. I do think it gives you this like 1940s sort of silhouette, which is weird. I'll take it. It made me laugh, and I think that's what this is all about, correct? Next is Demi Lovato wearing Dundas. They are certainly doing something over there. It's a purple velvet oversized suit. There's no shirt underneath. There's a long diamond pendant and an oversized sort of purple pant. I actually like the color. I think that it's Dundas-y. Peter Dundas likes to go for sort of over-the-top colors. I think that his cuts are definitely interesting. I'm pretty positive that Demi was going for like this like Elton John vibe, because I think they performed an Elton John song at some sort of point in this experience. I'm sure that like Elton John was there and getting some sort of award. It's a bit strange. It's there. It's not really all the way there. I don't really love the fit of the pant. I just think they're a little bit too blocky. I think there's a way to go about doing like an oversized pant where they're sort of stiff and fun. And I understand, like, again, it's a velvet, it's not supposed to be stiff, but like there should be a little bit more shape to it that's not too purple velvet sheets to the wind sort of vibe. I do think that maybe the jacket is a little bit long as well. I like the color, I like the use of the fabric. Overall, it's definitely interesting, so I'm not really mad about it. I just think that it could be refined in a couple of different places. Next up is Doja Cat, and she is wearing Brandon Maxwell. Now, I believe that this is a look from the fall 2020 Brandon Maxwell collection. It is a sheer chiffon army green slip dress with a tied cape in a sort of darker green. It's definitely interesting. And here's my thing about Doja. Doja to me is somebody that goes out, sort of does this like weird, wacky, wild moment. And to me, this is Doja going in a bit more of not conventional, like beautiful gown, but I think it's Doja's way of going about doing a sort of like beautiful, conventional gown. And I like it. I do think that the slip dress is definitely really interesting. I do think it could have been fit a little bit better, because I can see crinkles and wrinkles and all of that, and I don't love that. But besides that, I actually think that the cape is really lovely. I think it's a thing for Doja to sort of use as a prop. I feel like she doesn't always love a prop, but I think when she can sort of take one of these really beautiful flowy capes and sort of play on it and play with it, as we're seeing in this picture here, it works for her. It allows her to sort of like make a statement with it. For the most part, we see Doja in a lot of like avant-garde, over the top, really ridiculous sort of looks. And so when you do sort of see her in this more beautiful, like glamorous sort of style, I like the fact that she does not go conventional. It's not some boring ass, like asymmetrical, shimmery dress gown with a long train. It is a little bit weird, a little bit out there, a little bit scandalous. And I think that's the fun thing about Doja, is no matter what she's doing, no matter what sort of aesthetic she's trying to channel, it's always going to be very her, and she's not going to just sort of play into convention and boring stereotypes. And so I like it. I'm not totally opposed to it. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. I wish it fit just a little bit better in the slip dress area, but besides that, I like that. There is another Doja look. It is a Miu Miu dress full of these like cartoonish printed kittens. And so like Miu Miu, it's based on Miuccia Prado's nickname growing up as a child. If you think about Miu Miu, it sounds like a little sort of cat or like a kitten. Doja Cat. I think there's like a fun sort of reference in there. Again, like Doja's sort of doing this like conventional sort of like 1940s 1950s nipped in waist with a sort of like flowy little skirt. The girls are plunged, the girls are out. It has little bow elements. To me, it's this cartoonish, weird, again, take on this like traditional ideal of glamour. And that's the sort of fun thing, again, that I like about Doja is like, those cats are hideous. Like, they're cute, obviously, but I think in a context of like fashion, normal designers wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna put cartoon kittens on this sort of like glamorous 1950s inspired dress. But like, that's the weird thing about Miu Miu, and also the weird thing about like Doja Cat is that those are two brands that work very in sync for me, and I feel like Doja should possibly get on either like the Prada or the Miu Miu train, because they're both like very intelligent, they're both sort of very strange, they're also sort of like kitschy, but also like glittery and a little bit glamorous, and like I kind of like the Doja Cat Miu Prada relationship. I want that to continue. Overall, I don't like love it, but I do think there's a lot of like fun little nods both to Miu Prada and to Doja Cat, and so like in that regard I can appreciate the sort of storytelling behind it. Next up is Gabby Barrett, and she is wearing Balmain. Now this is a sort of take on Olivier Roustong's classic blazer dress, sort of like a cocktail dress that has a sort of 1980s bold shoulder. It's turned into a dress. You sort of see like the double-breasted gold buttons on there. There are pockets and all that sort of stuff. But here it's in an asymmetrical style, so you only have like one of the shoulders and then the other is sort of exposed. I hate that. The asymmetry is not always needed. It's almost like trying too hard. I do apologize to Gabby for calling her somebody else on the last red carpet. It was really fun. I liked the last look. I think it was cute. I think it was interesting. This to me is too Beverly Hills woman going to fancy restaurant that nobody cares about and trying to make a fashion statement. I just came from LA, so like I'm a little bit over LA. It's not giving the energy that I think we wanted it to give, and so in that regard, it just feels very try hard. Next up is H.E.R, and she is wearing Alexandre Vauthier. I hate this. The Elton John t-shirt with fringe, oh, it's not even fringe, it's like embroidered motifs of I don't even know what, with an Elton John like feather shoulder moment, and I feel like that's what we're sort of referencing here with the sequins and black feather flares, but unfortunately I just think the pants make her look like a horse. I can't not get like a Clydesdale out of my head, and like I think I would enjoy a Clydesdale being in my head, just not in this context. I think something about the length of the feathers falling down is like awkward. I think it's strange. I think it's sort of weird. I don't think that it necessarily works in the way you want it to work. There's something about the shape of the pant. I don't think it works. Personally, I can't see beauty in it. And I like where it was going. Like, don't get it twisted. I like a Clydesdale. If you come in looking like a Clydesdale, I'm not gonna be offended by it whatsoever. In reality, if it's done well, which I don't think this is, I'm very happy to see it. But I think when you have moments like this where you're like, questionable silhouette, that's when my issue sort of starts to come in. Next up is Lil Huddy, and he's wearing Saint Laurent. It is a red striped jacket, a little black shirt, a black unfitted pant. I can see all the crinkles and wrinkles in the pant, like, no. And then a patent loafer. Why? You're wearing Saint Laurent. Wear a fucking boot. 3 inches, 4 inches, do it. Like anything but a patent leather loafer. Maybe it's karma. Could be. The red suit jacket, it's like whatever. The pants don't fit. I can just see every single pucker. Don't want to see that. I don't enjoy that. It's rather disturbing. Next up is Lil Nas X, and he is wearing Selam Fessahaye and a Telfar bag. Listen, this looks like it was picked up at a costume store, Party City sort of vibe. This metallic leather oversized suit jacket and oversized pant. I just don't think it fits. I think it looks wrinkly. I think it looks crinkly. And like, I've come to expect a really high level from Lil Nas X. Like, I'm at this place where it's look after look. Most recently, we just saw this like amazing Moa Lola look. So like, I have very high expectations. And so I did just a tiny bit of research on the designer Selam Fessahaye. And like, there are these really cute striped suits that have a sort of like metallic stripe in them. I think that would have been so much more fun. I think it would have been so much more exciting. And this is not that. This to me looks like it could have been picked up just about anywhere, whereas that Selam Fessahaye like striped suit style is interesting. It's different. It's something I haven't really seen before, and I feel like it could have been a really fun way for Nas to like play on the suit aspect. He's just been wearing a lot of suits recently, and like, I understand wanting to wear fun suits, weird suits, chic suits. I just don't think this is that. I think this is a real letdown from Lil Nas X. I expect far better and far more interesting moments. Next up is Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. Let's talk about Machine Gun Kelly first. She is wearing Comme des Garçons plus. This is a look from, I'm pretty positive it's the spring 2020 collection. You can see that it's sort of all about adding and deconstructing this like very silver, harsh, thick fabric. So you can see a cut on the jacket. It's almost like quilted, and there's a sort of like light white reflective fabric, and then there's a sort of silver blazer aspect underneath, and then it's paired with a pair of shorts that are almost like deconstructed, that like stiff silver short, because like I felt them in real life. They are very thick, this sort of like off-white, almost looks like it's corroding. And then there's a sort of like perforated turtleneck underneath. The Machine Gun Kelly look, I don't love. I don't really hate it. I think it's like semi-interesting, but overall it's not something I'm like writing home about. It's semi-interesting, but I feel like I've seen better from Machine Gun Kelly. It's not radical, it's not miraculous. I mean, like, I guess it's semi-interesting for a man on a red carpet. The bar is being raised just a little bit, and this could be a lot more interesting. Megan Fox in Mock and Mock. It's a brand I don't actually know. I'm pretty positive they, for the most part, make shoes. She's wearing this sort of silky pink bustier style top with a matching pair of split hem pants. I just don't like the silk. I think it's blah. I think silk like that just doesn't work. I feel like, did we not realize anything from like Alicia Keys last week? Megan, you were there. Like, you saw it. You knew what happened. And you don't have the big Valentino cape to like help sort of work it out there. This is just, I just think you can see the puckering, you can see the sort of wrinkling, you can see where it's just tight. And I don't want to see that, because I just don't want to see this fabric ever. We're good. We can leave it without. I do think the fact that she's matching little silver elements to match with Machine Gun Kelly is cute, and I like the way that they sort of play off of each other. I think that's fun. I like when different celebrity couples make that happen, and it's very rare that that's done. So you have these sort of like silver straps and silver little bow heels that like play into the silver of the comb look. But overall, it's not, I'd rather forget it than remember it. Next up is Megan Thee Stallion, and she is wearing Bryan Hearns. Now, Bryan Hearns makes a lot of performance wear, and it's somebody that Megan has sort of collaborated with for quite a long time. I think Bryan Hearns makes great performance wear. I wouldn't say his red carpet work is the best. And Megan, to me, is almost like an Ariana Grande, where it's just like, I don't think Megan wants to be like a fashion girl. I don't think she's really trying to be. I just don't think that's her prerogative. And so like, I'm at the point where if it's simple but looks good, I'll take it. I don't think that is this moment, though. I think that this gold fabric is just meh. And my real issue comes in at this mesh panel. I like the fact that it's a sort of full cutout. I feel like Megan loves a hot girl summer. She has no problem showing off her body. I appreciate that. I love that about her. But I do think that the mesh is a little bit light. Tea-stained! Like, somebody stain a mesh. I understand sometimes it's made out of synthetic fabrics and you can't dye it, but like, then find a mesh in a natural fabric that we can dye. And you can see the side seam of the mesh, which even more so is like, whoa. Emil Halston with a look like this, very simplistic. Don't want to see the seam. I just don't. I think it's not worth it. Overall, I love Megan. I sort of just like want her to work with Cavalli for all of her red carpet looks. I feel like that's fun. I feel like her and Fausto Puzzi could like make it work. I feel like it's a little bit gauche, a little bit avant-garde. It's not like too much, but it's like just enough for Megan. And I've seen looks where Megan has worn Cavalli and it looks really fun, cool, and interesting. And I'm still waiting for my pony hair look. Megan Thee Stallion has yet to wear pony hair. Somebody explain it to me. Next up is Roddy Ricch. He is wearing a Bottega Veneta jacquard pant. I love it. I love those pants. They're from the spring 2021 collection. They're stunning. They're beautiful. I love that like COVID-19 red. I think it's really lovely. And I like the way that it plays off that blue. I'm not obsessed with the shirt only because it doesn't exactly match the red of the pant, but like whatever. It's not just like an off the runway look, so that's great. I like the shirt. I think it's sweet. I do, again, wish it matched, and the little white tank top underneath, not offended by. Overall, I like the pant. I like the fact that it's somewhat styled and not, you know, just plucked again off the runway. So finally, are Tyler Joseph and Josh done? People were adding me in their pictures on Twitter. I don't know who they are. I just genuinely think they look like two men that are employees at your local Zoomies. One, I presume Tyler, is in the houndstooth jacket with a white shirt, a black skater pant, and a little low top. Not really interesting whatsoever. And Josh Dunn is wearing a motorcycle jacket, a gray t-shirt, pink sweatpants with like smiley face knee pads and gray sneakers and like, yeah, no, this is bad. This is like bar, floor, men, red carpet. Like this is that example of this. So like whoever's styling them, and if there's nobody styling them, if it's just them styling themselves, pay someone. All right, now let's talk about the best and the worst. The best to me has to go to like Doja Cat in that Bryan and Maxwell look. I think it's fun. I think it's a cool way that she's playing off of her own sort of avant-gardeness without being too run-of-the-mill. The worst look, I'm giving it to Charli D'Amelio. I just think that Caroline Herrera is so blah, so boring, so uninteresting. There's so many cool young designers to work with. And so your stylist has no excuse not to. So that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next one, and TTY.